Good evening and welcome to the programme. So, what will your MP be claiming in expenses next year? The reforms put forward by Sir Christopher Kelly to clamp down on abuses would affect members in and around London more than anywhere else. One of the changes could affect almost 100 MPs who live within reasonable commuting distance of Westminster. They would no longer be able to claim second home allowances, and it's expected they'll be banned from getting back travel costs on expenses. So, for example, MPs in places like Reading, Chelmsford, Luton or Sevenoaks would have to meet their own accommodation costs. It would also affect MPs in Guildford, from where Mark Ashdown reports.
Welcome to the commuter belt. From picturesque Guildford, thousands of people commute into London every day. MPs who live out here currently receive up to £24,000 to help run a second home. News today it might be scrapped wasn't met with much sympathy.
They shouldn't be allowed to claim for the way they have been. It's totally irrational.
Most people who work in London commute quite happily if they're homes here, so I think that's quite acceptable.
You should be, based where you are, and not moving around too much.
Maybe less journeys into Westminster.
Exactly, yeah. But
late night votes are common, perhaps more so if we have a hung parliament. So without a second home to stay in, what options do MPs have? Well, the last train leaves central London for here at 11:45 p.m. Though the station manager told me never to rely on that one, it often gets cancelled because of engineering works. A season ticket would cost just under £5,000 a year. That is first class, but doesn't include tube travel. And if you did miss the last train, a taxi would cost about £100 from the Houses of Parliament to here. At the other end of the line in Waterloo, patience with MPs' concerns is equally thin.
A lot of us live outside London. I can't claim for a second home just because I work in London.
If they have to stay and do a vote though till late at night?
I work late at night. No one pays me to stay in a hotel or have the luxury of staying in London.
They could have their transport paid back to wherever they live, but they don't need an allowance for a second home.
Strong feelings, but London MPs were prominent in the expenses hall of shame. Former Minister Tony McNulty claimed £60,000 on his parents' home. Tory high flyer Theresa Villiers claimed £10,000 in stamp duty on a second home, but both her houses were in London. And taxpayers forked out £20,000 for dry rot work on Margaret Moran's second home, 100 miles away from her Luton constituency. Which is why some agree all this is badly needed.
I can get home perfectly well at the end of an evening. I don't need to claim a second home allowance, and yet under the existing rules I would be allowed to claim £24,000 for a second home. That's absolutely outrageous and unacceptable.
Others have reacted furiously. The expenses revolution has begun. Mark Ashdown, BBC London News.
Well, let's cross live now to our political editor Tim Donovan.